Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa and we need to talk about Mercy. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is becoming a massive issue within this game's community, and honestly, it's pretty ridiculous. Now, let me just start this video off by stating a fact. If you play Mercy, you are not a bad player. You are a Mercy player. You're an Overwatch player. This is something everybody has got to get into their head. Most people like to get very aggressive towards Mercy players, or they'll blame them for the defeats or whatever. Like, they'll get very, very angry towards them because they see Mercy as a low-skill hero. Now, this is where it gets quite complicated. You can argue that there is a spider walking on my monitor. That is very... what the... It's an omen. What the... Anyway, yeah, you could argue that Mercy is the lowest skilled hero when it comes to an FPS game, right? Because Mercy, she doesn't go around. She's not putting crosshairs on heads. She's not a hit scan hero. Yeah, she's got a projectile weapon. She can kind of defend themselves. But what she's there for is to support the team, heal the team, damage to boost the team, and then res the team, right? And the res is where a lot of the issues come from. So Mercy is a different character. She's an Overwatch character. Once you get it into your head that this is not CSGO, this is not Call of Duty, or insert any other kind of FPS game, everybody can play this game. There are different heroes that require different skill sets. You don't need 6 hit scan gods on your team. You need maybe 1, possibly 2, and then you need people who can play the other heroes, like your Genjis, like your tanks, like your other supports. It's a very diverse game. Now I've got that out of the way, let's take a look at some tweets that I made the other day. So I was getting quite frustrated because I went into a game, and I know you guys can't kind of see the statistics here off this one image I'm showing you, but this here is 3 Mercy players on my team, and all they played was Mercy. That's kind of wrong, right? That's the game's problem. It's not the Mercy players' problem, but it's easy for us as players to go, oh, bloody Mercy, because when I put this tweet out, I'm not aiming it at Mercy players. I'm not going, oh god, Mercy players are so bad. What I'm saying is, why the hell are there 3 Mercy mains in my game? This is crazy. How has that happened? How has the game allowed that to happen? Then there was this other tweet where I was like, oh, look at this bot. This poor effer, he must have had Mercy mains in his game. That was pretty much straight after that other tweet I made. So let me just go into detail on what the issue is with Mercy, because it's it's not your fault, guys. If you're playing Mercy, it is not your fault. It's Blizzard's fault. They have screwed up Mercy in quite a few different ways. Now, there are loads of screenshots out there if you guys want to go and search the internet. In fact, I've got loads of screenshots myself where I've been playing with Mercy mains and I've taken pictures of their win percentage and it's below 40%. How can that be real? Like, how can these players be climbing with such a low win percentage? Also, they will show massive advances from the season. So there was one person, which I'm not going to show any of these stats, but you guys just going to have to take my word for it. In Season 2, this person started playing Overwatch, was bronze. In Season 3 was silver. In Season 4 was silver again. And then in this season is High Master. That is a massive climb. That is not a climb where you've gone through the ranks and become better and better at the game. Now, for that player, they're probably thinking, oh, wow, awesome. I was always a master level player. I always knew this. But something must be going on. And that incident is not just isolated. You see it all over the place. So what the hell is going on? Well, I said it was Blizzard's problem, didn't I, guys? And it totally is. Right now, the way the game gives you SR, so the way it decides how much you get when you win and how much you lose when you lose the game, is based off your performance compared to other people playing the hero you're playing at your SR, right? So if you're a 3000 rated Mercy player and you get 10 reses in a game and maybe the average is only 4, then you're a much better Mercy player than the 3k rated players. So at the end of that game, you'll earn 35 points instead of maybe 10 points like a standard Mercy would. And subsequently, if you lose, you might only lose 7 or 8 points because, well, you've performed much better. Now, here is the problem with Mercy. The biggest issue Mercy has got is her Resurrect and the way that the game rewards you for this. Now, we don't have solid evidence which says this is a fact. The problem is, though, or rather, it's not really the problem. The evidence I've got is we can look around and we can look at all of the examples of all of the other Mercy players. You can check the Mercy players out in your game. You can see what's going on. You can watch pro-level streams, high-level top 500 players who stream. They'll get Mercy mains in their game. And you can kind of see that there is a bit of a skill disparity between the Mercy players and the other players in their game. Now, I'm not saying all Mercy players are bad, but what I'm trying to get to the bottom of here is how have they got so high? And it is all based on their res. If you wait for that big juicy res, that big 4-man res, or even a 5-man super res, then you will get more points in the eyes of the game. The game does not rate you on your ability to win, does not rate you on your ability to be a team player. It will never be able to rate you on whether that one-man Resurrect on that Soldier 76 you knew had tac visor, that he then popped and wiped up the enemy team and allowed you to capture the point. That is worth more than waiting for everybody to die than just doing a pointless 4-man res, but it's not in the eyes of the game. You see, it's a game about stats, Overwatch is, and this is the crushing thing about it. And it's very easy to pad out Mercy stats because all you need to do is wait around, heal, do Mercy things, heal, damage boost, maybe get a bit of, damage in with your weapon or whatever, but mainly heal and damage boost. But then when you see things going wrong, which is very obvious in Overwatch, the enemies start popping ultimates, all you do is stand around the corner, then you wait, and then you keep waiting, and then everybody gets killed, you press Q, everybody comes back to life, and the fight carries on. The game thinks you have done something absolutely awesome. And don't get me wrong, you've just brought your team back. If the enemy team have used multiple ultimates, and you've just wiped them out like boom with your res, that is great play. The problem is, though, that's great play at very low levels, right? If you're waiting for massive reses, it's cool and it's fine and it works up until, I don't know, probably up until Diamond. Then once you start getting into Diamond, right, if you're waiting for that big res, probably one of the enemy team's DPS are going to try and find you and are going to try and kill you, right? So they're not just going to let you walk around and hide and res, which you could do at lower levels. The thing is, even if you wait and you wait and you wait and you still get that big res off, you're still in the eyes of the game performing well, even if it was utterly pointless. Now, I've seen this happen in games myself, and it is really, really frustrating. We were on Volskaya Industries. We took the first point. We had 3 casualties on the first point. There's no point to... There is literally no point to res there. The Mercy just pops res, and everybody's like, Mercy? What? Like, we're on the mic, and we're like, what? Mercy? What? And Mercy just says nothing. I don't think Mercy was even in the voice chat. That there is simple. I guess the best way to say it's engineering statistics to get more SR, and it's not right. But it's not your fault, guys, if you play Mercy. It's totally Blizzard's fault. So, we've kind of discussed the problem here, and this is why a lot of Mercy players are skyrocketing through the ranks. It's very common now, you always have a Mercy on your team, or at least on the enemy team. There is always a Mercy player. That is because the game is heavily rewarding iffy Mercy play. Don't get me wrong, it's okay Mercy play, but you can't just keep playing the game of Mercy, waiting for everybody to die, and then just getting a big fat res off, and just doing that consistently. If you do, and that's the only thing you do, the game will reward you. So anyway, enough of the moaning. Everybody moans about Mercy. What I've tried to do up until this point in this video is not moan about Mercy, but just sort of take an impartial view on what's going on with Mercy and why you tend to see a lot of Mercy mains. And, well, actually, let's just drop on that for a second. Mercy mains, right? Mercy has a very unique kit, and it doesn't translate to anybody else in the game. So if you play Mercy, it's very hard for you to play other heroes. Now, before they reworked Lucio, you could actually just go and play Lucio. So if you were part of a dive comp, you could say, all right, well, we don't actually need Mercy now because Mercy's not really going to be too great. She's not really going to be able to follow the team in. What we're going to need is possibly a Lucio. We've got a Zen, so I'm going to play Lucio, but usually I'm a Mercy player because all I need to do is just use my auras, right? I don't have to be close to our team or anything like that. It's fairly easy to be kind of effective. That's no longer the case anymore. So now, Mercy players, well, they're shoehorned into Mercy. You can't force them onto something else. You can't go, oh no, we need a Zen, because their accuracy won't be good enough. Now, believe you me, I've played a little bit of Mercy, and I can tell you right now, your accuracy goes to crap when you play her, because it's completely different. Like, I'm used to playing Tracer and McCree and hit-scan heroes and Soldier, so when I like playing Zen as well for support, although he's more projectile-based. But when you come onto Mercy, it's very much, it's very... like, it's totally different, and you become a completely different player. It's good, and I think it's engaging gameplay, but, you know, that's just what Mercy is. Anyway, how do we fix this? Enough of the problem, how do we fix it? Well, the biggest issue is the res, right? And the biggest issue is the way that the system clarifies or classifies how good you're performing based off your res. Mercy's ultimate is very easy to charge. You will always have this available if you keep healing your team, which is a simple thing to do, because you can keep relatively safe while you're doing this. So, what is the fix for this? Well, I think the fix, beyond completely changing the way the stats, well, not the stat system, but SR is attributed to players, which honestly I think does need to be changed. You know, I made that video last week where I said, look, why don't we go for a split sort of SR system where up until 3K, yeah, it's performance-based SR, so it's based against, you know, other people playing your hero at your same SR, but then after that, it's based on the team wins or losses, because in no team game anywhere, like even if you look at traditional sports, in no team game is like that player's ability gauged on his own. It's part of the team. You know, I used to play a lot of football, so soccer for you Americans, but football, right? If you could have the best game of your life but still lose because the defense don't play as well, you can say that's exactly the same for Overwatch, right? You could be a striker, so you could be a Genji in Overwatch. You get the kills, you're doing your job, but your tanks are not protecting your team. They're not pushing the payload, and then you suffer, and then you lose because of that. That is what Overwatch is. So you cannot say, oh, yeah, Genji played really well in that game, but yeah, he's still going to lose SR. You know, but then that comes back to the performance-based system, doesn't it? And then that kind of looks fair. So it's highly complicated. Like, this is not a simple thing to discuss. I'm trying to condense this down as much as I can in this video, but as you guys can see, it's a highly complex subject. Anyway, what should we do to Mercy's abilities? Well, it would be nice, I think, if Mercy got an E. Maybe something she could do with the E button. Or, like, you know, she literally doesn't have an alternate ability, an E ability. She can just float, she can Guardian Angel to people, she can damage boost, she can heal, and she can shoot. It's actually quite a lot of abilities when you look at them like that, so maybe that's why she doesn't have an E. Anyway, res is the problem, right? Res needs some sort of change, and everything I look at and everything I think about with res comes down to two ideas. The first one is, why is this 100% res? Like, why do you come back with everything at full? Why shouldn't this be maybe slightly lower? Now, this strikes me as something they would have tested. I can't remember if this was actually in the game at any point, but I don't know whether this would be a good idea because, I mean, it might have been in early beta. I'm not sure, though. Obviously, the recent changes to Mercy was made her invincible when she pops a res, so she can actually get in and drop the res now, which means that, well, she can res. So it's almost guaranteed a res, which is, you know, whatever. The other idea, though, which I think is the better idea, is making Resurrection LOS based, so line of sight. That means you have to be able to see your team to res them. This means you can't res them from behind walls. You can't hide in areas where it's very difficult to find you, because there is a bit of a disclaimer I want to throw out here. I play a lot of Tracer, and sometimes I'll take flack. It'll be like, Tracer, why haven't you found the Mercy? Why haven't you killed the Mercy? The time it takes for Mercy to come out of her hidey hole, or even just hide in a hole, and then wait for everybody to die, and then press Q and bring them back, is very fast. It's very hard to stop this, because there's loads of places they could hide, right? And a good Mercy will hide in a great place, so they'll be very difficult to find, and then they'll get their res off. Which, is that fair? Is that unfair? Well, it's fair, because Mercy's playing Mercy how she should be played. The DPS are trying to find her, but obviously it's a bit of a gamble. It's like, do I go left or do I go right? I don't know where she is. I've gone left. Oh, actually, she's on the right-hand side. Oh dear, everybody's been rezzed. Uh-oh, my team are getting angry at me. Then I get angry. Then I get salty towards Mercy. And this is the way it sort of rolls through. So, line of sight based res, I think this would help, because what this means is Mercy would have to come out into the fight to actually res people. I think we need to keep her invulnerability on her res, because without that, she would just get instantly killed, right? We've all been there when Mercy's diving into the fight to get that massive res off. You try to get her and she pops the res, the invuln comes up and that's fine, right? Everybody's brought back. In my eyes, that is a beautiful res. That is what Mercy should be doing, right? A great Mercy player knows how to position themselves, knows how to dive into the enemy team to get that clutch res when they need it, and it's actually a res that's going to make a difference, not just to pad stats out. That's awesome. The Mercy player who's hiding around the corner or resing from spawn or whatever, that's not great. That should not be in the game, and I think line of sight would fix that. Think of the way Arissa's bongo bunker works, right? She drops that thing down on the floor and it's line of sight. You can't just hide that around the corner. You know, that has to be able to see your team to give them the buff. And I think res should probably be the same thing. So the problem, I think, comes down to this. DPS often feel like they're carrying the game. And which is fair enough. You could say DPS is the highest skill in terms of raw mechanical skill slot to play. So if it's a Genji, if it's a Tracer, a McCree, whatever, right? They're having to land the shots. If they don't, it's very clear that you've got no damage and you'll probably lose the game. What DPS players don't realise is without tanks, you don't have space to play. Tanks create space. That's what tanks do in Overwatch. They don't stand there and absorb damage. No, they push forward and they open gaps to allow the DPS to get in and do damage. So without good tanks, DPS can't function. And then, of course, without support, DPS and tanks, well, they can't do what they're going to do because support them by healing them and by other methods as well. So we've got to kind of get away from this. And the problem is, because the game is based on your individual performance, everybody thinks, or everybody playing DPS seems to think that they're the ones carrying the team, and we need to, like I said, we need to come away from that. And the only way that can be be kind of effectively done is if Blizzard changes up the way they attribute SR. It needs to become more of a team-based system. You know, if you win or you lose, you should be graded as a team, not as individual players. Up until a point, you should be graded as individual players, sure, because you shouldn't have somebody who is a GM player playing in Platinum. That's not fair. GM and Platinum are worlds apart, and it would make for a bad game. So, what do I think needs to happen? Look, I think something does need to change with Mercy. I'm not sure whether you guys agree with me or not, but my main issue with Mercy is the game currently rewards bad Mercy play, and it shouldn't do that. The game should be rewarding you for awesome Mercy play. That's why I like the line of sight change to Resurrection, because that would mean you'd have to be out there in the fight. Mercy is a very mobile character. Mercy is a very small silhouette, so she's hard to hit. She is very survivable, and after a second of not taking damage, she starts to heal herself. Mercy is quite durable. Those battle Mercy players that are in the fight, and I mean not just running around with a blaster out, but they are in the fight, they're healing, they're jumping through targets. It is such an engaging way to play Mercy, and that's how she should be played, and I think Blizzard need to kind of shift Mercy back into that a little bit, and remove this sort of, I'm just going to hide around a corner and pop my res. Guys, this has been a very detailed video on Mercy. I've been working on this for a couple of days now, and I wanted to get as much as I could into as short as a possible video as I could, because I could sit here and talk for Mercy for literally 3 hours. What I want you to be aware of is I don't hate Mercy mains. I'm not saying Mercy players are bad. This is Overwatch, it's not CSGO, so everybody has different skill sets in Overwatch, that's what makes it beautiful. A Reinhardt player isn't necessarily a very good hit scan player, but without that Reinhardt or Winston tank, the hit scan can't do anything. The same goes for supports as well. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below, guys. Let me know if you ran into any Mercy players which have been interesting to play with. Let me know if you are a Mercy player, and let me know if you'd like to see any changes to be made to her. Alright guys, I've been Stylosa, this is Unit Lost. If you enjoyed the video, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, you can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming, and you can join the Discord, which is discord.gg/UnitLost, and I'll catch you next time, guys. Toodaloo.